What's up, Matt? How's it going, buddy? Hey, what's up, T. Davis? How's it going, man? Y'all ready to see the chaos ensue? I said I wanted Florida State to win last night to watch everybody cry on the internet, and boy, did I get my wish. What's up, Joey? What's up, Brock? Blocked by Victor's podcast. Bucks raising bolts. Upset FSU not in. I think Florida State will get in. What's up, Colby? What's up, Ballard? Alabama's better than Florida State. Well, it's a good thing that who you think is better doesn't matter because they played 13 games and the results are in. Alabama's got a loss. Florida State doesn't. They have a common opponent in LSU. Florida State absolutely dismantled LSU. Alabama didn't. So if we picked sports based playoff teams in any sport based on who you think is better, then it wouldn't work. Texas, I think, is in. Yeah, I think Texas is in. I think it's going to be obviously the three undefeated teams. Washington, Michigan, Florida State, and then Texas has got to be the fourth team because they have the head-to-head win over Alabama. Florida State sucks. Then why are they 13-0 if they suck so bad? And everyone talks about how bad Louisville sucks. Well, last night, Louisville went into that game averaging 36 points a game and like 430 yards of offense. They got completely shut down by Florida State's defense. What's up, cousin Dom? Balin Gardner, how is it going, everybody? Nashville today, getting ready to watch the Colts and the Titans. Ah, that sounds like fun. We'll see. Of course, I have the volume down, so I won't get to hear all their points. Kirk Herbstreit is stumping for Alabama, I believe, instead of Florida State. But he tweeted out a couple of months ago, it just went out and shut up. Well, they won out, but now he's changed his mind about it, I guess. What's up, Gator Hater? Do I think Georgia gets a chance at the national championship? No. Georgia had to win yesterday, unfortunately for them. Who do I have going to the dance? You mean to the national championship? I'll have to see what order they rank them in. Who do I want in a bowl game? I was just talking about that with the misses. And I saw yesterday somebody posted the 5 most likely bowl matchups for Clemson. It went like this. Clemson versus Oregon State in the Holiday Bowl. Clemson versus UCLA in the Holiday Bowl. Clemson versus Southern Cal in the Holiday Bowl. Clemson versus Kentucky in the Pop-Tart Bowl. Or Clemson versus LSU in the Gator Bowl. I'm actually... Out of all of those, I'd probably be the least excited about Clemson versus Kentucky in the Pop-Tart Bowl. But any of the other 4, I can get on board with. I didn't see West Virginia on that list. Oh, just the top 4. Well, I just said. The 3 undefeated teams, Washington, Michigan, and Florida State, and then Texas, 14. Clemson versus Missouri in the Tiger Bowl. I wouldn't be opposed to... I would like to see them play Missouri. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Brock says he wants West Virginia. I said that earlier. I said those are my top 2, was either Oregon State or West Virginia. But I don't think West Virginia is going to be on the table. I hate the fact that they dragged this bowl thing out for 4 hours. I feel like they could just... They could condense the playoff selection and the bowl selection into an hour. They don't need to drag it out for 4 hours, especially on a day where there's NFL football, where, you know, half of the casual football fans that pay attention to college football are going to be watching NFL games instead. What's up, Eric? When this is over, we can talk about next year's 12 teams. Yeah, and what's up, Tyree? And by the way, for the people that think, because I've heard people say, well, at least this is the last year we have to worry about, you know, fighting over the 4 teams, who's the best 4 teams. Well, it doesn't matter how many you put in there, because next year we're going to be fighting over the 13th and 14th and 15th team. It might even be worse, because it's harder to discern from 12 through 15 than it is from 7 to 4, in my opinion. What's up, Wahoo Brad? Sir UGAAAAA? What's up, Monsoon? There are whispers here in Columbia of a New Year's Six bowl game. That would be an amazing. Well, first of all, Missouri did have an amazing season. They might deserve to get a New Year's Six bowl game. South Carolina and the Cancun Bowl. Now, that sounds just like a very good reason to go to Cancun. You know? There's never a bad reason to go to Cancun, is there? Lil Whitey. I think that Florida State will be in. So here's the thing. The people that are saying that Florida State shouldn't be in, all of their reasons don't matter. They talk about Jordan Travis being injured. You can't pick playoff teams based on who's injured. Otherwise, Ohio State wouldn't have got in 2014, which, by the way, they went on to win the national championship with a third-string quarterback. And what did they do it? Now, they had Ezekiel Elliott. That was one reason. But they had an amazing defense. Florida State has an amazing defense. While I do believe that it's going to be hard for Florida State to win a playoff game without Jordan Travis, it's still not impossible with the defense that they have. It really probably depends on who they play in the first. If Michigan is the one that Florida State plays, I think that game could be closer than you think. Maybe even Washington. Florida State will get waxed by Alabama. Based on what? They both played LSU. I saw Florida State absolutely tear LSU apart limb from limb. Alabama didn't do that. That's the only comparison we have is the common opponent they have. And also, look, did you forget what happened last week in Auburn? People have a short memory. They almost lost to a fucking terrible Auburn team. A terrible Auburn team. And they probably should have lost. I don't think that the selection committee can keep out Florida State. I guess they can technically, but I'd like to see their reasoning why. What time is the actual reveal? Noon or sometime later? I believe they do the playoff selection first, so that'll probably take 20 minutes. You know, with their dragging it out, and then the next 3.5 hours after that is the bowl selections. Which I'm glad, because I'm not streaming for 4 hours. I was trying to figure out when they were going to do the playoff selection to decide when I was going to come on here and stream. Balin Gardner, I like the playoff picture this year. Really, only one good playoff game last year was Georgia versus Ohio State. I'm a fan of neither of those teams. Well, the reality is that the majority of playoff games since the playoffs have started have been blowouts. There haven't been that many close. Well, There have been some, but there's been more blowouts than not blowouts. So, yeah, and that's the other thing. You can't really pick. You can't really pick the four teams in the playoff based on who you think the best matchups are. The results during the season have to matter. It's not week 3. They played 13 games. If you win all 13 of your games and get a conference champion, there should be zero reason that you get left out ahead behind a one-loss team. Oregon versus Alabama in the Fiesta Bowl. ACC is weak. Well, that's too bad they have a winning record against the SEC this year. Then they're 6-2, 6-4 against the SEC. I guess if the ACC is weak, I guess the SEC is just complete trash then. This is the reason they play the games and don't give opinions to people on the internet to pick teams, because the games matter. That's another good point, Nick. They put an undefeated Cincinnati team in. They didn't have a problem doing that. Bama's only ranked 5 for a reason. Top 4 as follows: Michigan, Washington. And that's the other thing too. Florida State was ranked ahead of Alabama last week or before championship week, and they both won. I hope the committee grows some balls and leaves Florida State out. Why would that be? Why would that be them growing balls to leave Florida, an undefeated conference champ, out? I don't understand the thinking behind that. It doesn't make any sense. And Florida State went out and scheduled a big boy out of conference and beat the tar out of them, an SEC team. That game wasn't even close. And they beat Clemson at home. I don't care what you think about Clemson. Clemson's ranked. Florida is a bad team without Jordan Travis. You mean Florida State? Well, they might be a bad offense. They're not a bad team, though. I mean, they have one of the best defenses in the country. I mean, I don't even know. Alabama fans shouldn't be mad. What's up, Millis? They shouldn't be mad. Well, if they're mad, they should be mad that they lost to Texas at home. That's what they should be mad about. They should be mad that they almost lost to a terrible Auburn team, too. But are they mad about that? What's up, Rooster? Of course, Laura Rutledge, God bless her, she tweeted out this morning that she thinks that both Georgia and Alabama should both be in. She thinks it should be Washington, Michigan, Georgia, and Alabama. She even thinks that Texas should be left out, even though they beat Alabama in Alabama. Like, it's a good thing she's not on the committee. What's up, Big Poppy? Yeah, I mean, being a part of what you believe to be the best conference, which I don't even believe the SEC was the best conference this year, but even if you do believe that, the patch on your jersey, it should not determine whether or not you get into a playoff or not. Wins and losses should. And I would be saying what I'm saying about Florida State if it was the same thing, if it was a Big 10 team, a Big 12 team, or a Pac 12 team. Period. That's just the way I believe If you go 13-0 and win your conference, you should not be put behind somebody with a loss. Doesn't matter what conference you're from. Otherwise, there's really just no reason to even play the championship games. You should get rid of them. The playoffs should have already been expanded, but if it's ifs and buts were candy and nuts, every day would be Christmas. Yes. I still don't. I'm on board with the 12 team. I was against it at first. I do think it's going to be interesting for these kind of conversations as far as entertainment value. I think they really missed the right number. The right number, in my opinion, would have been 8 teams. I think there is at least some chance that an 8 seed could make a run and win the national championship. I don't really think that you're going to see a 12 seed win a national title. I guess it's possible, but very, very low chance that it happens. But if you look at the top 12 this year, then you would see some pretty interesting matchups, interesting games. And I guess that's all that really matters is if it's interesting. The college football guy says, I do believe the SEC is the best conference, but the 4 that should be in is Michigan, Washington, Florida State, and Texas. I agree with the second part of that. If the SEC gets in, they will probably win it all. I don't know. You know who I think looks like the best team right now? And it's not Alabama, it's not Georgia, and it's not even Michigan. It's Texas. I think Texas might be the most complete team, offensively and defensively, in the country right now. I wouldn't want to play Texas in the first round. I don't care who you are, whether you're Florida State, Michigan, Washington. I wouldn't want to play Texas right now. What's up, Devin? I can't hear what they're saying, but I'm glad I can't, because it would probably make me dumber than I already am, and I'm pretty dumb right now. Georgia should get in. I don't care. Why? Why should they get in? For losing their championship game? That's what deserves them to get in? How long do they piss around until they actually get around to it? I was told by somebody who knows that works for ESPN that they should announce it around 12:20, so about 10 more minutes. We'll see if he's right. Might as well be Liberty in. Michigan's schedule was crap. Gary says it's not who deserves it, it's the 4 best teams. How do you determine who the 4 best teams are? Is it the 4 best teams that you think it is? I don't understand how you determine that. I'll tell you how you determine it, by wins. And if you have the same amount of wins, common opponent. That's how you decide who's better. There's no other way to do it other than just your opinion, and opinions don't work. There's not a sport on earth that determines playoff teams based on who you think the best 4 teams are. It doesn't exist. That's like saying, you know what, in the NFL, the NFC South is a total dumpster fire of a division. So you know what? Instead of letting one of those guys go to the playoffs, we're going to pick somebody from the AFC West instead because we think that they're better. It doesn't work that way. The conferences are not equal. Well, if they did a conference comparison between the ACC and the SEC, they'd see that the SEC has a losing record to the ACC this year. They'd see that. They would also see that Alabama and Alabama and Florida State played the same team in the same year, and Florida State beat the brakes off of LSU and Alabama didn't. So they'd see all that. I wish people would just be honest with themselves and say, I think that this team is better, so I think they should be in. Instead of saying this team is better, because that's not a provable fact. Just say that's what you think. Saying the best team is totally meaningless. It's for rubes who missed the point of actually playing. Exactly. The games have to matter. I think Alabama should get in, Roll Tide. Well, the fact that you said Roll Tide tells me everything I need to know about that statement. They shouldn't have lost to Texas, and they would be in instead of Texas. Who's 5 and 6? That's a really good question. I've been focused on the top 4 so much. I think Alabama will be the first team out because of the loss to Texas. So I think Alabama would come in at 5. And since Alabama has a win over Georgia too, so Alabama would come in at 5. Yeah, I don't know who 6 would be. Ohio State or Georgia? Wilkie, thank you for the super chat. Washington, Michigan, Texas, Bama, Florida State, Georgia, and Ohio State out. That's a hot take. That's a hot take. I disagree. Yeah, that's a good point, Nick. By the way, I'm not convinced that Alabama is better than Florida State. I mean, I'm being honest. I think right now what you have is two sort of hindered offenses between Alabama and Florida State and two extremely good defenses. I think that if Alabama played Florida State on a neutral field right now, I think it would be a good game. Especially if Florida State gets back their second string quarterback who didn't play last night. He's miles better than the guy that played last night. Mark Hamilton, I don't understand why the committee apparently evaluates injuries, as I've read, as you can be a really skilled football team and so to avoid injuries. Well, they haven't taken injuries into consideration in the past. If you go back to the 2014 Ohio State team who lost to Virginia Tech to start the season out, if you remember. But then they won. They beat Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship 59-0. They got in. They were down to their third string quarterback, a lot like Florida State is, and they went on to beat Alabama and then Oregon in the national championship. Now that is listed on their thing. Here, I'll tell you what I'll read it to you. First of all, it's extremely difficult to understand exactly what the committee does value because they twist it to fit whatever narrative they wanted to justify whatever their picks are that week. It's different every week, but this comes from this college football playoff website, okay? The selection committee will select the teams using a process that distinguishes among otherwise comparable teams by considering the following. So otherwise comparable teams. In this scenario, we're considering Florida State, Georgia, and Alabama, right? It's the comparable teams in this context because they'll be the first. They're the three that are looking for that 4 spot, right? Conference championship. Okay, Alabama has a conference championship. Florida State has a conference championship. Strength of schedule. I don't know. Maybe somebody does know. what the strength of schedule between these two is. I bet you it's pretty close. I think Florida State might even be ranked higher on strength of schedule. I know that hurts a lot of people's feelings, being that they're in the ACC, but I think it's true. I think they have more ranked wins than Alabama does. Either way, that's probably pretty close anyway. Somebody might be able to pull up that number if you know what it is. Head-to-head competition. Now, obviously, Alabama has the head-to-head win over Georgia. Texas has the head-to-head win over Alabama. As far as Florida State having a head-to-head with either Alabama or Georgia, they don't. So that one's out the window as far as that goes. Comparative outcomes of common opponents. Comparative outcomes of common opponents. Florida State, Alabama have a common opponent in LSU. And we saw it. Now, both of them beat LSU, but the margin of victory and the way that it happened was much more impressive for Florida State than it was for Alabama. And then last, this is where it gets confusing. The last key factor here, other relevant factors such as unavailability of key players and coaches that may affect the team's performance during the season or likely will affect the postseason performance. So that is the one where the injury to Jordan Travis comes in. So I guess technically they can use that as a reason to keep them out if they want to keep them out. They can cite that rule there. I think they should be announcing it in about 5 minutes. I don't think they'll leave Florida State out, but again, nothing would surprise me. Nothing would surprise me. So overall record wasn't listed explicitly. No, but the overall, right, this was when comparing two teams that are otherwise comparable. So I think, again, what I think is irrelevant too. I'll admit that. I think that's comparing two teams with the same record or close to the same record, which Alabama and Florida State have. They're only one game apart. If Florida State's in, no SEC team should make it. If Florida State gets in, no SEC team will make it. I don't see how they could justify putting Alabama ahead of Texas since they have a head-to-head. That's what burned Alabama's chances of getting in my opinion, is the loss to Texas. Yes, they're going to milk this as long as possible. They've been pretty good so far, week to week, in the picks as far as getting it going and getting it done in 5 or 10 minutes. But that's because they have a basketball game to get to. But this is an all-day thing here. They've been selling advertising for this for 4 hours, so they're going to get their money's worth. Texas and Georgia are in. No, Georgia's not in. Georgia was 28-0. Yeah, and then they lost. They're not 28-0 anymore. They're 0-1 since yesterday. Time to start the record over, I guess. They don't give you a playoff spot based on your previous record. They give it to you on your current record, and currently they're 0-1 this week. Check the AP poll. They get it right, in my opinion. Michigan, Washington, Texas, Florida State. Yeah. I think that's what it's going to be. Here we go again with the 4 best teams. 4 best teams according to who? You? Who decides who's better than another team? You have to go off the results that have happened on the field over the past 13 weeks. That's how you decide who the best teams are. Period. That's like me going, I think Colorado is one of the best 4 teams in the country. Well, based on what, Pete? Well, because I just think they're one of the best 4 teams in the country. Stop asking me hard questions. You can just say whatever team you want you think is better. Doesn't matter. Hopefully they announce the spots here in a minute. I think they're about to. The eye test, yes, yeah. The ever elusive eye test. There are delusional people in Columbus saying that they deserve it. Wins matter. Yeah. The head up behind the behind test. Yeah, that one's good. All right, here we go. Finally, all of the debate will end now, and the crying will commence. Somebody's going to be crying. Either Florida State's going to be crying, or Alabama's going to be crying. Somebody is going to be crying. So we'll see who it is. Michigan at number 1, no shocker there. Because they were 2 behind Georgia last week, and Georgia obviously lost yesterday, and they won, so they moved up to number 1. So there you go. Michigan at number 1. Who will be number 2? A group of people decide who's in, period, so they do. Yes. You guys are saying Washington will be 2. I think I agree with you. 2 wins over Oregon. Yeah, so that's 2 top 5 wins. Washington does come in at number 2. I realize if somebody you guys are watching this live on your cable or DirecTV or whatever you're watching it on, you might be a little bit ahead of me. I'm watching it on Hulu TV, and there's also a delay on YouTube for 15 or 20 seconds. So I might appear to be behind you. Who will be 3? Ohio State should be 6, and they might be. Life's Good says, thanks for the chat. Well, yeah, I appreciate you all being here. Matt says Florida State will be 3. In my opinion, it's going to be Texas at 3 and Florida State at 4. Texas, told you, Texas 3. Now, number 4 spot, get you, let me get my tissues ready. I'll start passing out tissues to all the people that are going to start crying here in a second. Who do I need to give the tissues to? To the Florida State people or the Gumps? I got it ready for you. Oh, it's my last tissue too. Damn. Well, my last 2, I think there's 2 on here. I used a whole box of tissues crying about Clemson all year. God dang, that's sad. I'm out now. And coming in at number 4 is... Why are they doing this? Don't do this to me. I can't take it. I can't take it. I can't look at the chat. You guys are going to try to either trick me or spoil it for me, and I'm not going to fall for that trick. Come on. Let's get the row on the showed. Someone get Pete a shot. It's too early for that. I can't start drinking right now. My team's not even in the conversation, and I'm nervous for some reason. Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Coming in at number 4, Georgia. Oh, nah, they're going to do this shit now. Georgia at 6. And Alabama's going to be 5. Which means Ohio State's going to be 7. Ohio State or Oregon. I thought when Georgia popped up, I thought that was number 4. I was like, holy hell. Threw me for a loop. There you go. Alabama gets in at 4. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. I can't believe they actually did that. I cannot believe they actually did that. Boy, I can't believe they did that. I can't believe they left out a 13-0 conference champion. That's unbelievable. Kirk Herbstreit got a hard on right now, don't he? Look at him. Can barely contain himself. He's been stumping for Alabama all week. Yeah. Well, here's what I think about that. And look, as a Clemson guy, everybody that knows me knows I can't stand Florida State. But my hate for Florida State doesn't have anything to do with the fact that I believe that they earn their way into the playoffs. I believe that wholeheartedly.
That is bullshit! That is bullshit!
That is bullshit. They did have the balls. Florida State got hosed. They got hosed. And then look, this is the reason, whether you think it's true or not, this is the reason that the majority of college football fans from around the country believe that the committee and ESPN are biased towards SEC teams. It doesn't matter whether you believe it or not. The Sandstorm Show is happy about it. He's happy to be sitting at home watching his team not play until next August. He's extremely excited about it. Let's see here. Sorry. Just give me a second here. I'm slow. There you go. So we'll see Michigan and Alabama in the first round of the playoffs, and Washington against Texas. Sea-Dog may need some volume. What's up, Real McCoy? Texas versus Michigan for the Natty. Texas wins it all. If I had to pick right now based on these 4 teams and the matchups that's happening, I would also pick Texas to win. A close second, in my opinion, would be Michigan. Probably then Washington, then Alabama. Texas is a problem. Texas is playing the best football of these 4 teams right now. There is no point, Slim. I mean, they put in an undefeated fucking Cincinnati team a couple years ago, a Group of 5 team. Yeah, that was when they were in the Group of 5 before they went to the Big 12. That's an absolute joke. This is the problem with the committee, is they're not consistent. Now I can't hear, but I know that they usually, after they make these selections, they bring on the chair of the committee, the head of the committee. And they start justifying why they did what they did. I can't wait to hear his explanation for this. Just think next year we'll be worrying over who's 12. Yeah, next year we're going to be arguing about number 13 and 14, whether they should be number 12. It's the injury, that's all. Well. The ACC is bad. Well, then the SEC is just total trash then because they have a losing record of the ACC this year. Yeah, it's bullshit. Mrs. Peete says so.
Bullshit! That is bullshit!
Not that I believe that Florida State would have won the national championship, but that's irrelevant. What's up, Jesse Stacy? Yeah, I mean, and on top of that, I mean, Florida State's gone 2 games now without Jordan Travis, and they've won both of them. And it wasn't offensively that they did it. It was defensively. Like I said, people, you talk all the shit you want to about how bad Louisville is. Louisville went into last night's game averaging 36 points a game and 440 yards of offense a game. And they just got completely dismantled by Florida State's defense last night. That's who I feel. Well, first of all, I feel bad mainly for Florida State fans, but I feel bad for their defense. They're a playoff caliber defense. Bama and Texas rematch. You might see that. You might see that. Yeah, Michigan played an Iowa team. Yeah, talk about playing a bad team. Jesus Christ. I call him Fat Boy, the quarterback for Iowa, because he's a fat boy. When he ran on the field, because I haven't seen a single Iowa game this year. I'm not going to lie. I've seen highlights and stuff, but they're almost unwatchable on offense. They trotted that quarterback out there. I said, there ain't no way that guy's a quarterback. There's not a quarterback on earth that looks like this guy. He looks like an offensive lineman. Iowa has the worst offense. I've been watching college football for over 30 years. I'm 43 years old. I can remember back to when I was about 6 or 7. So let's say conservatively, I've been watching college football for 35 years. I have never in 35 years at any level, FCS, Group of 5, Power 5, I have never seen an offense that fucking bad ever in my life. Ever. Not even close. Iowa's offense is absolutely atrocious. Now, their defense is pretty good. Oh, fat boy. Well, here's what I do. I just hope that we look. I guess the committee, their only saving grace here is if we get a bunch of good first-round games. If the Michigan and Alabama game is compelling and on the field it's close, and Washington and Texas the same way, then they can go say this is why we did it. They can try to justify it that way. I hope that's what we see too. As a football fan, that's what I want to see. I want to see some good games. But Florida State definitely got screwed. Eric says that Florida State should not even play another game. They should forego the bowl game and see if they can be number 1 at the end by going undefeated. That's funny. Washington's going to win it all. They keep getting counted out and keep winning too, don't they? And I'll put myself in that category. I thought they were going to lose to Oregon. Yeah, old Herb Street was tweeting his ass off last month about, oh, Florida State just went out. Shut up. Just went out. Shut up. Just went out. It'll take care of itself. Just went out. Just went out. This week he's on there going, yeah, I don't think Florida State should be in there. But, boy, you might want to go back and delete your tweets, buddy. Those are forever. Oregon should have won the Pac-12 championship, but they didn't. Not only did they not win the Pac-12 championship, they lost to Washington twice. 2 times. Not once, but 2 times. Vic is pissed that Alabama's in. I'm sure he is. Well, Florida, let me tell you something. Let me ask you a question. If Florida State, now this could be funny. If Florida State goes to a New Year's Six bowl game and wins and ends the season 14-0, do they pull a UCF and claim a national championship and have a parade and even make up rings? That will be hilarious. I bet they do. If I was a Florida State fan, I'd be doing it just for the troll job. Yep. Well, the next 3 hours or so is selection time. I am extremely excited to see what some of these bowl matchups are going to be, including Clemson. But they're going to drag it on for 3 hours. So I'm just going to check Twitter. I'm not watching this shit for 3 hours. I'm not on my. No, Sunday's my day off. What if Alabama wins the whole thing and Florida State is the only undefeated Power 5 team? Well, that'd be something. Anyway, all right, guys. I just wanted to come on for the selections and get you guys' opinion. I can't believe they actually had the balls to leave out an undefeated conference champ. That's I didn't think they would do it. I didn't. But they did. So congratulations to Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama. You are representing the great sport of college football in the 2023 college football playoff. We'll see what happens on the field. I hope all of you that are going to bowl games, so anybody not named South Carolina, because South Carolina's not going to a bowl game because they fucking suck. But everybody else, though, I hope you get the bowl matchup that you're looking for and want. And I hope they're a good one. I hope the bowl committee doesn't do as bad a job as the playoff committee does. I hope they make some good matchups here. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow over on the second channel for the midday show at 11 a.m. Y'all have a great Sunday.